What is going on, everybody? Good evening and welcome back to the Occult Rejects, another episode of Rustic Gods. It's a series we started doing, I'd say, about 4 to 5 months ago. And so every couple of weeks we sit down and we discuss one of the Grecian rustic gods. So go ahead and be sure to like the stream, share it, and I will introduce myself. I guess I'm Jules, host of Greypilled podcast. With me tonight, I have the Headless Giant, my co-host, as well as Nick, the CEO of Occult Rejects, the Cardinal Electric Head himself, the Grand Pope.
Grand Poopah.
Yeah. Well, I'm the handsome Hierophant, the Mississippi. Yeah. We have many titles. So we gotta start. What's going on, boys? Y'all have a good week, good weekend so far?
So far, yes.
Yeah. Right on. Drop the names for me in the chat. I don't have any alternate.
Yeah, names. we gotta get him another alter ego.
Gotta get gotta get him some AKAs.
I like it.
But tonight is a very exciting episode. We are talking about Gigantes. Is that well? That's just one of the many types of giants, right?
Right. Well, tonight we're going over the Cyclopses, and the Cyclopses are really kind of misunderstood. Like, it wasn't just one eye, it was oftentimes three eyes, and these Cyclops characters are, found as these descendants, like earlier descendants of the gods than man, right? So these were elemental forces that are much earlier than mankind itself. Like, they've been sticking around since earlier eons. And so what we find about the Cyclops is that these guys have a special relationship with the gods. They're able to access that power and energy. And it's very, very much a different conception of the world than what we normally think of as the giants, right? So these are also kind of seen as malevolent, monstrous forces in some cases, while in other cases they seem to be, sometimes beneficial. So it's really a mixed bag with these things. And once we get into these Cyclopses, I think you guys are going to appreciate how fundamental and primary they are. So we're on theoi.com if you want to read along. We are on the Giants tab looking at the Elder Cyclopses, right? The three-eyed or three-orbed immortal giants who forged the lightning bolts of Zeus. As soon as they were born from their father Uranus, and the sky locked them away inside the belly of the earth. So they were right there next to the Titans, right? So these guys are very, very much older than a lot of the races of men. This is before the Titans forged man, and this is before the Olympians ruled over the whole world. So this is very different.
So the Cyclops were like the progenitors of the other races of giants.
Well, in some cases, yes.
In some cases, okay.
Right. So Cyclopses specifically, they are, much more associated with Neptune than a lot of people give them credit for. So Neptune and the sea and islands. And what we find today is that in the Caribbean, we have a lot of these stories of the giants being associated with the islands, right? So whatever was happening in the North American frame really reflected a lot of what was happening over in the Mediterranean, right? It's almost like the Gulf of Mexico and the Mediterranean are kind of like these mirror images of each other on different sides of the world. Mm-hmm. So there is that angle as well. So giants being associated with islands is a very common theme between both, these separate cultures, this North American Indian and the Greeks. So they talk about this stuff, and so there's this very mysterious nature to them as well. So this also goes into the hecatoncheires, and the hecatoncheires are very important when it comes to Titanomachy, because these hecatoncheires teamed up with the Olympians to fight against the Titans, right? The 100-armed, 100-handed, weird-looking, monstrous Hecatontries. When the Titans overthrew Ornos, they drove the giants into the pit of Tartarus. Zeus and his brothers later released them, and in return, they provided the god with his thunderbolts. Poseidon with his storm-raising trident, and Hades with his helm of invisibility. So these guys are forging the tools of the gods. And what we find too is this association with ancient technology being very potent when it comes to this stuff. So these were the forgers of ancient technologies, right? Hades' helmet was what caused invisibility. Right. So you've got that one, and the thunderbolts of Zeus, obviously having this sort of magical nature to them. Some say there were a total of 7 forging Cyclopses. The lesser 4 sons of the first were slain by Apollo to avenge the death of his son Asclepius, who had been slain by Zeus with a Cyclops forged thunderbolt. Right. So the idea of the thunderbolt being what slays people, and then, having the sort of revenge against the people who made it instead of Zeus. Because it's kind of weird. In the Orphic hymns to Zeus, they talk about how everything around thy head is reality. Right. So they're saying almost like reality springs from the mind of Zeus. And we can also see Athena springing from the mind of Zeus, right? So when he ate his second wife, he had this horrible splitting headache because there was a oracle that told him that his second wife was going to be giving birth to something that would take his position as king of heaven. And so he consumed her. And while inside of Zeus, it transformed and became Athena. And Athena is the symbol of wisdom. And wisdom springs from the mind of Zeus. So if you're going to take it out of the frame of just being a literal story, you kind of get the idea of the Matrix there when it comes to Zeus's mind. Right? So here we've got the names: Brontes, Stereopus, Argus, which would be from Hesiod, the Theogony, right?
Yeah.
And we'd have to go into Argus a little bit more.
You got the other 4 down there: Euryalus, Elatrius, Tracheos, Halimedes. So 4 of them, the latter 4, were slain by Apollo. I didn't know that Apollo's son was Asclepius.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And Asclepius' son was Musaeus. And
wait, hold on. No. Musaeus?
Yes. Musaeus was a lawgiver to the Greeks.
So why does it sound like Moses?
It is like Moses, and they took the idea of
rod of Asclepius. He has the rod of his father. Dude.
What did Moses do in the wilderness? He had the bronze serpent that he held up that healed his people.
Yeah.
So this brings up an interesting point. So in the Theogony, this was 700 BC, and the writing of the Septuagint was in the 2nd century BC. So there's a lot of time to create these stories between the time of the Greek Theogony, which talks about these different characters, and the time of the writing of the Bible. So the giants in this storyline is much more of a source material for the giants in the Bible.
Absolutely.
But yeah, these are very common when it comes to Greek mythology. You find them talked about going down into Tartarus. You see them on the islands. You see them in the Odyssey with Odysseus slaying one of these Cyclopses. And it's interesting because the Cyclopses have a completely different mentality than humans do. They're incapable of lying, right? Which is actually one of the reasons why humans are able to kill them, is because they're able to deceive these Cyclopses.
So it's kind of to their detriment. But they have all these other, like, strength and all these other powers, supernatural powers, and these gifts, forging these weapons for Zeus and whatnot. But no, dude, what you were saying about all the parallels with the Bible, like just like how there's tribes of these, or not tribes, like I guess you could say different types of these giants or names for them, how there were tribes of giants in the Bible. You know what I mean? Like, you have like the Nephilim and the Rephaim and the Gibborim and all that stuff. Just a little parallel here and there.
If you could imagine giant toddlers, right? So they maintain sort of that idea of being pure and very innocent in their mentality. They're still very destructive, right? But they're
playful but destructive, right?
Right. And so, a lot of these ideas really do carry over. If you look at Patagonia is supposedly this land of giants. And when the explorers landed on Patagonia, they said they had talks with these giants, and these giants of Patagonia were very childlike in their mentality. Like they did see the world as a completely different thing than the way we see it. And what's also interesting is where the Greeks say these massive boulder-like structures all over the Mediterranean come from. They call it Cyclopean architecture. So they believe that the Cyclops has built these massive megalithic architecture around the Mediterranean. So these people were constructing some, I wish you got there.
Oh, here.
Sorry. I hit it again.
That's, there's the ones from Patagonia. Or some depiction of, I guess, the giants meeting with some of the people. I don't know. It's pretty cool.
Amerigo Vespucci says that he ran across them as well, right? So it's very interesting that there is this constant refrain of this tribe of giants, and we see today that it is very taboo within any form of academia to even bring this stuff up. Mm-hmm. Like it is considered to be pure mythology with no basis in fact. They often say that these elephant skulls of the what are they called? The massive furry elephants, the mammoth skulls, right?
Yeah.
That those were the skulls of the giants because they have that one big hole in the middle. And that sensory cluster that was going inside of the massive skull was considered to be that one eye. But is that the case? Maybe the mammoth skull does resemble a giant head, and we're just not giving them credit.
Well, dude, I think like
they stuck it for something else.
Yeah, I think Steiner even talks about how like the earlier form of humans in Lemuria or whatever had 3 eyes, right? And the other eye eventually got covered up, or something to that extent.
And we've got the idea of the third eye going on within spiritual circles today. It's almost like we're a strange hybrid of these giant-like creatures and maybe some other things that created a much smaller version of giant, which would be us. But here's another angle. What if there were Ice Age megafauna hominids, right? So we've got all of these giant creatures from the Ice Age, much bigger versions of the creatures we know of today. Like if you look at the armadillo, there was a massive version of the armadillo during the Ice Age. What if there was a more massive version of humans that maybe hunted a lot bigger game back then that we just don't associate with existing? But if there are smaller versions of humans that we accept, right? We've got the pygmies of different places. We've got, much smaller archaic versions of hominids. Why can't there be massive versions of the hominids, right? If you're going to put a evolutionary spin on this, it doesn't make sense that there would just be smaller versions. I mean, couldn't there be bigger versions? There's bigger prey out there. You've got to be bigger to deal with some other environment. So if you're thinking about much bigger versions of humans, more robust versions, I don't see that as too far outside of the norm, actually. I mean, they talk about how they're proportionally limbed too. So they had concepts of gigantism within humans, right? And the limbs were different sizes. than in proportion to the body. So they understood that there was gigantism in humans, and that was not what they were talking about. They were talking about a separate tribe altogether. But here we go. It says, in the Homeric poems, the Cyclopses are a gigantic, insolent, and lawless race of shepherds who lived in the southwestern part of Sicily and devoured human beings. They neglected agriculture, and the fruits of the field were reaped by them without labor. So, I mean, if you can imagine them uprooting trees and picking their teeth with them, that's sort of what they felt about agriculture.
Cool.
They had no laws or political institutions, and each lived with his wives and children in a cave of a mountain and ruled over them with arbitrary power, right? So very irrational thinking. Which kind of makes sense. If you're that big, you're very, unaccountable. Homer does not distinctly state at all of the Cyclopses were one-eyed, but Polyphemus, the principal among them, is described as having only one eye in his forehead. The Homeric Cyclopses are no longer servants of Zeus, but they disregard him. So they do not think of the gods as their, betters. They think of them as their equals. Still later, right? And still later tradition regarded the Cyclopses as assistants of Hephaestus. Volcanoes were workshops of that god, and Mount Etna, back to Mount Etna.
Hephaestus, this is Vulcan, right?
Right.
Okay. I'm learning. Good.
Volcanoes were workshops of the god, and Etna in Sicily and the neighboring isles were accordingly considered as their abodes. Back to the islands again. As assistants of Hephaestus, they are no longer shepherds, but make the metal armor and ornaments for the gods and heroes. This is something that you see with the dwarves in, the heathen mythology, right? So you've also got these assistants and these sort of smith gods, right?
The dwarves were they were forging weapons for the gods. The net to ensnare Fenrir, or the rope. That he will be unbound from on the day of Ragnarok. But yeah, man, no, definitely. I see so many parallels here to other mythologies.
Right. And also in the Bible, they talk about these Nephilim as passing along this knowledge to mankind. Again, knowledge back then, the highest knowledge back then that was kept the most secret was metalworking. So they were trying to keep that secret as, part of the state. So if you think about the deep state work, this is the knowledge that they were trying to keep. And what do we find today? As well, the deep state running our country is coming out of these islands, right? So
Sardinia, dude. Sardinia, shout out what's his name? Freddie Silva. Back when I used to watch Gaia a whole lot, Freddie Silva would be talking about giants on the island of Sardinia and going there and and he's a guy that talked about the Dogon tribe and stuff a whole lot. Great researcher, great archaeologist. But definitely something on these islands. And that's where you find all the bones, right? That's where they find these bones.
And also, naval power. So Canaanites are very closely associated with these giants too, right? And they are the sons of Neptune in the Homeric hymns. So if you're thinking about this sort of naval sea empire, they were learning from the giants. They were very much integrated into that sort of stuff. What we find in, the Levant is these massive tombs, these mounds to the giants. Right. So right there, you've got Og of Bashan. They've got a big mound to Og of Bashan in northern parts of Israel, and other different giant characters as well. But they are associated with this naval power. It's kind of interesting. I think that naval aspect of intelligence is really not looked into well enough.
Naval intelligence?
Yeah.
Or Bill Cooper, dude.
Yeah. What's the first form of intelligence agency in America? Naval intelligence.
Yeah.
Right? It was before all of that stuff.
Yep.
So let's see. Their number is like that in the Homeric poems, no longer confined to 3, but their residence is removed from the southwestern to the eastern part of Sicily. Right? 2 of their names given at the time of the cosmologic tradition, but new names were also invented. For we find one Cyclops bearing the name of Pyrachman and another of Akamas. Invented, for we find, let me see. The Cyclopses, who were regarded as skillful architects in later accounts, were a race of men that appear to be different from the Cyclopses whom we have considered hitherto, for they are described as a Thracian race.
Yes, here we go with the army of 100 Thracian giants, dude. Let's fucking go.
Which derived again, like these are the ancient race of people, right?
Sorry, we did some weird stuff after the sound clip. That y'all get used to that. If you hit a sound button ever and you try to talk right after, it'll be all
like weird something.
Yeah. So.
Right, the grand fortifications of Argos, Tyrannus, and Mycenae were later times regarded as their works. So Mycenae, this is the home of the Mycenaeans, which are the predecessors to the Greeks. Again, it's all about this older race of people, right? And the walls commonly known by the name of Cyclopean walls still exist in various parts of ancient Egypt and Italy, right?
Where did the Mycenaeans come from?
Well, the Mycenaeans, they claim that they came from the first horse trading people, the first horse riding people, right? So this goes into that a little bit as well.
That's so cool.
But these massive unhewn polygons, right? They still exist all over the place. And when the Romans asked the Greeks who built this stuff, they said it was the Cyclopses. Right? Cyclopean architecture. So anytime you see Cyclopean architecture, they're referring to these mythical creatures. The Greeks believe they existed. The Romans, that makes sense. Let's go with that. But again, they seem to be, invention of what they consider to be mythology. I don't believe that. I think that the giants did exist. I think this was all just sort of our modern conception of their mythology. And what we find over and over again is that all of these academics thought that Troy didn't exist. It was pure mythology.
Dude,
and then they find
Troy existed in that book I'm reading where it talks about the origins of Albion and Gaul. They came from Troy. They came from Greece. Like and the mysteries came with them. Like they showed up to the island and there was a temple of Diana already there. And they were like, oh, shit,
Right. And so the Pelasgians is who the Mycenaeans said that they came from. Right. So Pelasgians are very important. Again, those are the people who moved down into Greece. And this is where they think the idea of the separation between the Titans, which were the older gods, and the Olympians come from. The Pelasgians who invaded the region basically acquired the existing race that were Pelasgians, and then they became the Mycenaeans. So when they sort of merged, the Titans became the older form of gods, and then the Olympians that defeated them, those kind of were the Pelasgian gods, right? So that's a very different way of looking at it, but that's kind of where we're at. So let's see. Later generations being struck by their grandeur as much as ourselves being ascribed to fabulous race of Cyclopses. In the works of art, the Cyclopses are represented as sturdy men with one eye in the forehead, and the place which other human beings occupied by the eyes marked in figures of the Cyclops by a line. According to the explanation of Plato, the Cyclopses were beings typical of the original condition of uncivilized men. This explanation is not satisfactory, and the cosmologic Cyclopses at least must be regarded as personifications of certain powers manifest in nature. Again, back to that lightning bolt. So they're able to manipulate the basic laws of nature.
Of course. They had these supernatural powers. Like, yeah, I'm not surprised they're able to work with the elementals.
Right. So here's what they say. So this is the Greek name, Argus, right? Argus, vivid flash, right? And then Brontes means thunder, right? The thunder clap. Stereopis, lightning bolt, right? So these are the ones that forged the lightning bolt for Zeus. There's so much more to these names.
I'm gonna look into these names and see if there's any parallels to Thor or Donar. Yeah, I'll do some research.
Right, but I think it's very clear that the ancient world was far more connected than what we give them credit for. And we were doing a little bit of. I was at a space yesterday, and I was talking a little bit about Argos. So let's get into Argos. It's the 100-eyed giant of the Argolis in Peloponnesus.
100-eyed giant. That should be your new name, dude.
All over
giant.
His body, all of these. And it's funny.
There's the eye motif with the eyes all over, like the angels with the eyes on, all over their wings. It's something I think that comes from the Supreme Creator, right?
Right. So we were talking a little bit about corporate structure in America, and what it comes down to is how to steal a cow, right? And the idea of Hermes being a cow thief. And so what does that have to do with corporate structure? Well, think of that 100-eyed giant as you, as all of us. We're all looking in on the corporate structures of America, and we don't like what we see. We're there to protect our cow. That's what we've been tasked to do. Well, Hermes is there to steal that cow from us, right? This was when Zeus transformed the nymph Io into a cow. And when his jealous wife appeared on the scene, she set the Argus to guard that cow because she knew something was up. She didn't know exactly what was going on, but she knew that Zeus was acting suspicious. So she set this giant to go watch this cow. And Hermes, god of trade, god of the corporation, god of all of the things having to do with money transport, was tasked by Zeus to get this cow back.
Hermes?
Yes, Hermes was. So Hermes.
I heard someone refer to his name as Aramis.
Oh, right. Yeah. If you're going to do the Greek translation. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. That's cool. Because Aramis is from the Three Musketeers, which is like, goes into the Orders of the Quest and all that stuff. Watch Man with the Iron Mask, dude. That movie fucks hard. Super hard. Yeah. Sorry.
No, that's fine. So the idea of him stealing this cow is he had to bore this giant into sleep. So he had to spin a tale that would cause this giant, 50 of the eyes would stay open while he was asleep, but if the sleep was complete, all of the eyes would shut. And that's the only way Hermes could defeat this giant, is by boring him to death. And if you think about the corporate structures and all of the rest of the stuff, they've got to bore you to death so they can steal your cow.
Sorry. I don't know why it's so funny. I just think that's that's silly, man. Yeah. Wow. I love it, dude.
Right. So Zeus is sending Hermes. Hermes is the angel of Zeus, right? That's his messenger.
That's his messenger. Right.
Right. So the god lulled the giant to sleep with his music and slew him with his sword. From this conquest, he earned the title Slayer of Argos. So Hera awarded Argos for his service by placing his 100 eyes on the tail of her sacred bird, the peacock.
Yeah.
Right. So when you think about that, like that's the eyes of a giant on the peacock feather. What is that? Right? Because the peacock feather was often used in magic. Very magical bird.
The Yazidi tribe Zoroastrian tribe, they had a peacock angel, Melek. Fuck me, something Taos, but it was a peacock angel represented by the peacock, and it was Melek Taos. Yeah, Melek Taos. That's his name.
Interesting. So surname Panoptus, his parentage is stated differently, and his father is called Arganor, Arestor, Inachus, or Argus, whereas some accounts described him as an autochthon. Yeah. He derived his surname Panoptus, the all-seeing, from his, so this is the all, I mean, this is right up your alley there, Nick. It's
dude, hold on, dude. I found Melek Taos. Hold on. I got to show you guys this. You're talking about magic? Bro, I wanted to say something else. Let me show you these hyper sigils. Let me share the screen. Dude. All right. So this is
sorry, I hit it.
Melek Taos, dude. The peacock angel Zoroastrian, let's see. Melek Taos, or Tawuze Melek, the peacock angel, is the central divine figure in the Yazidi religion, an ancient Kurdish-speaking community. He is revered as the leader of 7 holy angels to whom God entrusted the world, often symbolizing divine splendor. But yeah, dude. But look, okay, so that sigil right there on the left side, very common with Inki. You see that with Inki? I have a book somewhere I could pull it. It has that on the front of it. It has to do with the sons of Inki, talking about the different archetypes in the different cultures, Prometheus and so on. But down there you have, that is that's the original cross, right? That represents the sun. It represents Odin, let's be honest. But it also represents many other things. Universal symbol for the sun, kind of like how this Swazi was the symbol for universal peace or whatever, enlightenment, right? But no, that peacock symbolism, man. And I forgot what school of thought it originally came from, but Hall talks about it, how the peacock, the turkey, was the peacock who, during the Great Flood, the color washed out of its tail or whatever. I don't know. That's kind of silly, but
well, it's kind of interesting. You've got the combination of the rainbow and the eyes in the peacock, right? So both of these sort of potent symbols of color and visualization are both present in this thing. So to think of it as a magical creature wouldn't be that far outside the norm. And also it's a very protective animal. Right. So anytime you see those peacocks going off on their displays and stuff, they used to use peacocks as guard dogs. So they'll go off and just start squawking if anything.
They do in the country here. Dude, I got people that live in the country. They have these peacocks that will live on the shed in their backyard. And when people pull up to the house, they will come down and they will walk to the front of the house. And I guess if you're someone at night who's trying to fuck around and find out that you're going to turn around and that peacock's going to be right there looking at you. And that's probably one of the most terrifying things I could probably imagine. Besides
being a dinosaur
in the middle of the ocean with nothing around me. Yeah, that. I don't know what kind of phobia. What's that called again? The phobia of being in open water.
Oh, I don't know.
It's terrifying. Yeah, it's absolutely terrifying. I'm going to have to overcome that fear one day. Skydive into the water. I don't know.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's 2 fears in one, I guess. Oh, fuck.
I didn't have a fear of the water until I went scuba diving in Hawaii as a kid. Well, not scuba diving.
What happened on this venture?
Just having sharks swim underneath you, it really changes your perspective on life, because it's like there's nothing I can do to get away from this thing. No, it's just the realization that you can't swim anywhere near as fast as this thing.
Yeah.
You're not getting out of there. If it tries to attack you, you're done. You've got no special defenses or anything against this stuff. So it can swim all around you, and you're just fucked.
Be a shark.
Right?
I guess, I don't know. You don't want to try and fight a shark.
No.
Bad idea. Don't do that.
you can't get purchased. How are you going to fight it? Like, you're going to be swinging your arms, but you're not going to be firmly planted on anything. But it's funny that the protective angle of the Argus, this 100-eyed creature, and the protective nature of this peacock are very similar. So what they're saying about that, there is some sort of angle of, well, he was immortalized as the peacock. How does that make sense? Well, actually, they've got all the same attributes sort of shifted right there. Protective nature, beautiful eyed creature. So, and the most potent symbol of Hera, which is commonly used in Greek magic, was this peacock's feather. But yeah, the Argus is a very interesting giant as well. So by Hermes, let me see. So let's see. According to some accounts, his father Hera appointed him guardian of the cow, which Io had been metamorphosed into. Now, again, this Io character is sort of like a syncretism with the Egyptian cow goddess, right? So
EIO?
No, just IO.
Oh, Old MacDonald had a farm. EIO, dude. IO is in there. There's EIO, right? I don't know what god is EIO again.
Well, we've also got the moon of Jupiter called Io, which is, again, this goes back to this ancient mythological link right here. This Io cow, like, he was trying to get with this nymph, and he was about to be discovered, so he transformed her into a cow. And then this cow goddess sort of, played an important part of the syncretism between Greece and Egypt.
This is Ninhursag in Mesopotamia, dude. Yeah. Well, later on, Ninmah, the sister wife.
Interesting.
Yeah, you're talking about Hera, but
Zeus commissioned Hermes to carry off the cow, and Hermes accomplished the task, according to some accounts, by stoning the Argus to death, or according to others, by sending him to sleep by the sweetness of his play on the flute, and then cutting off his head. Hera transplanted the eyes to the tail of the peacock, her favorite bird. So, interesting.
Hathor, yeah.
Aeschylus, Prometheus bound. Right. So this is an interesting sort of continuation of this. So in Prometheus Bound, Prometheus is stuck to this mountain, and all of these Greek gods and goddesses come visit him while he is stuck on this mountain. And one of them was Io, who comes to visit Prometheus. And it's funny, she is being harassed by the gadfly, another symbol of Zeus. So she's being harassed by the gadfly as Prometheus is up on the rock. And this is what Aeschylus writes. He says, a gadfly, phantom of earth-born Argus is stinging me again. Keep him away, O earth. I am fearful when I behold that myriad-eyed herdsman. He travels onward with his crafty gaze upon me. Not even in death does the earth conceal him, but passing from the shades he hounds me, the forlorn one, and drives me famished along the sands of the seashore. The shades he hounds me, forlorn one, drives me, the waxen pipe drones forth in accompaniment, a clear-sounding slumberous strain. Alas, alas, where is my far-roaming, wandering course taking me? I cannot discern how to escape my suffering. So Aeschylus, in his three-part play, Prometheus, right? So the first one is about Prometheus betraying Zeus and giving fire to man. And then the one that we have is Prometheus Bound, which is the middle play. And then the last one is Prometheus Released. But the only play that survived from this series was Prometheus Bound. So Aeschylus writing this in his story is, the only sort of vision of what we have in this epic three-part play.
Right.
So this is another one. Io tells her story. Yielding obedience to such prophetic utterances of Loxias Apollyon, right? He, Io's father, Inachos, drove me away and barred me from his house against his will and mine. But the Inachos drove me away and barred me from, let me see. But the constraint of Zeus forced him to act by necessity. Immediately my form and mind were distorted, and with horns, as you see, upon my forehead. Stung by sharp-fanged gadfly, I rushed with frantic bounds to Kirknea's sweet stream and Lerna's spring. But Argos, the earth-born herdsman, untempered in his rage, pursued me as the gadfly, peering with his many eyes upon my steps, and sudden death robbed him of life unexpectedly, while I, still tormented by the gadfly, am driven on from land to land before the heaven set plague. So this gadfly is something that Zeus would send out, right? But the idea of the gadfly and this Argus are very similar because, as you see with the flies, they have the compound eye, right? So it's within that compound eye that the gadfly and the Argos are taken together, because the gadfly is any biting, flying animal, right? And it's also where we get the term for the people who take pictures of the celebrities, right? Mm-hmm. Those are the gadfly, or, what's the other word that they come from?
Paparazzi.
Or, paparazzi, right? So that's just the Italian version of gadfly. And we see the gadfly also afflicting many heroes as they try to go up to heaven and destroy the gods. So,
this is what I wanted to show you. This is, just before we get off the subject real fast, Ninhursag, the Mesopotamian, cow mother, right? Hathor, you see it in the Vedic, traditions as well. So, and they go a little too far with it, I think. The whole cow poop stuff, that's a little ridiculous. That's good Lord.
But it shows how ancient of a symbol it is.
It does. So, you're right. It does. You have to see that. But man, to live like that, I just, if you want to do that, man, hey, if you want to live that close to cow shit, by all means. But I think that's maybe an ancient practice, of course, but not now. There's other ways of venerating the deity than covering yourself with cow shit. Right.
Right. Well, there was also a very interesting tradition. So the way you have to view sort of the Indian society, you're on the cows, right? So another way of looking at it is they had a very strict caste system. And what the elites would do, the Aryans would do in India, is actually do these rituals to sort of humiliate the underclass. And so one of the ways they would do that is by saying, hey, go play cow shit. That's a humiliation ritual. And they also had other rituals where they would construct these massive chariots that would be led by human beings, and these lower caste people considered it an honor to be crushed to death by these chariots. So they would throw themselves under the wheels of these huge, massively constructed things that they would roll down the streets, because they saw it as a huge honor to be killed by these chariots as they're rolling down the street. This is where we get the idea of, what's that X-Men character's name with the big stupid helmet on that does the Juggernaut, right? Mm-hmm. These things were called juggernauts, and so they would throw themselves.
Goated, dude. He's
and it wasn't until the British colonized them that they made that practice illegal. They said, nope, no more throwing yourself in front of the Juggernaut to be smashed to death by these massive chariots. But again, we see that chariot angle, the chariots of the gods, right? This massive structure that was so sublime and represented, the sort of power of the gods was present there too. And in Greek mythology, we find all over the place that these gods are riding around on their chariots of heaven, especially with the sun, Helios. Helios has this beautiful chariot of the sky that's going across it. So the tradition of the juggernaut really does have a, Proto-Indo-European root to it as well. And you also see that within Judaism. They have the rituals where the heart is considered this chariot, right? What's that called? It's Merkaba mysticism. And that Merkaba is the chariot of the soul. And so you go outside of your body with that chariot of the soul. So
that's how they've seen some UFOs show up to them in that certain pattern, right? That, the little, what I just said, the tetragrammaton, the Merkaba.
Right. So this is another Aeschylus play here. This is Suppliant Woman. Again, the suppliants are people who are like devotees to the religion. So the chorus, they had all of these people wearing masks too. The entire Greek plays would be performed wearing these elaborate masks. The chorus says, "Is there a report that once in the land of Argus, Io was ward of Hera's house?" And if you've ever heard the original Greek recitation of this stuff, it has a hypnotic feel to it. So you've got all these people wearing masks, and they've got this hypnotic feel to their language and the way that they're singing this stuff. So the king says, "Certainly she was. The tradition prevails far and wide. And is there some story, too, that Zeus was joined in love with a mortal?" King, "This entanglement was not secret from Hera." Chorus, "What then was the result of this royal strife? The goddess of Argos transformed the woman into a cow. And when she was a horned cow, did not Zeus approach her? So they say, making his form that of the bull, lusting for a mate." So Zeus transforms himself into a cow, and then they get it on as he's in a different form.
Oh, nice.
So they say, making his form that of the bull, lusting for a mate. So what answer did Zeus' stubborn consort give? She placed the all-seeing one, Pantopus, Argos, to stand watch over the cow. What manner of all-seeing herdsman with a single duty do you mean? Argos, a son of Gaia, whom Hermes slew. So this is a earth goddess, right? So Hermes, here's another Argos, right? And have you guys ever heard of the band Ween?
I've heard of them. I've never really listened to them.
They've got this song
too much like Wiener.
They've got this song called The Argus. And I highly recommend taking a listen to that. It's an amazing song. And it's all about this sort of giant character. And it's weird. It's like there was the song sounds like they're starting a cult of the Argus, the 100-eyed giant.
So
of this bull.
So we talked about Argus. We talked about Cyclopeus. I want to talk about Gigantes, also Typhoeus.
We've got a lot of giants.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you would like to, who's Jerry on?
Oh, well, let's get into Gigantes first. But
okay, there we go.
Jerry,
that there's like seemed like there was a raven on his shield. So,
all right. Well, we can do that next. These are pretty short sections. The Gigantes, all right, this is the 100 giants born of the earth and goddess Gaia. According to some, she was impregnated by the blood of the castrated sky god Uranus. This is the same origin point as Aphrodite, right? So the blood of Uranus being spread across the land and the sea. On the sea, it creates Aphrodite, and on the land, it creates these giants. But again, it's this Hyros Gamos, the uniting of earth and sky. Let me see. At the urging of Gaia, the Gigantes waged a war on the gods, right? So this is after Titanomachy. She is now pissed that her children are being misused by the Olympians.
Right.
And so this is Gigantomachy. So they had an ensuing battle. The most famous of the combatants were Enceladus, and who was buried by Athena beneath Mount Etna, back to Mount Etna again.
Enceladus. Dude, wait. I thought Typhon was buried beneath Mount Etna.
Yes, and also Enceladus, and also, so they've got all of these different characters. Hephaestus is down there too. So
Typhoeus is probably down there too, dude, who we're about to talk about in a little bit. But
right. But this is all goes back to giants being under Mount Etna, creating this sort of fire from the earth. And Athena, buried beneath Mount Etna, who Polybotus was crushed by an island cast by Poseidon, and Porphyrion, who was slain by Zeus and Heracles when he attempted to violate the goddess Hera. The giants were depicted as either spear-wielding hoplite warriors in armor or primitives clothed in animal skin and armed with rocks and flaming brands. In the sculpture and mosaic art, they were usually depicted with the tails of serpents as legs, right? So we talked about that a little bit with Erythion, the first king.
that's like Abraxas, you know?
These motifs are just repeating and repeating and repeating.
Wow,
and they're trying to tell
like
us
Abraxas, dude.
Big time. And they had their own sort of meanings for these things that in a lot of ways are lost to history, but the repeating motifs we find again and again and again. The Gigantes may have represented the primitive tribes of Thrace, north of Greece, whose barbarian culture unfavorably contrasted with Greek civilization. According to some, the Thracians were born of the blood or ashes of vanquished giants. In southern Italy, the thrashing of buried giants was believed to be the source of volcanism and other thermal activity, right? So these are immortal beings beneath the earth that are shaking it. The volcanoes of Etna and Vesuvius. Right, so these are the names, lots and lots of them, and this is all about Gigantomachy. I think we'll get into Gigantomachy next time, but let's look up.
They had a race of men born from giants, guys. Let's go, dude.
Right, so this is Typhon again. We talked about him as well. Again, this giant born of Earth that is battling against Zeus.
What kind of god is this?
This is Typhon.
Yeah, I know, but what does he? What does it represent? Oh, was a monstrous storm giant.
Monstrous storm giant who laid siege to heaven, but was defeated by Zeus and imprisoned in the pit of Tartarus beneath Mount Etna.
And if people aren't familiar, Typhon and Set are basically the same deity. And me and Headless have a theory. We think it's more of a fact that this is Yahweh, hands down. So,
right, and it's interesting because they had this linkage between Egypt and Greece, and there was a group of people that settled in the Levant later on who worshipped Set as their primary deity because they hated the Egyptians. And that's right in the region where El and Yahweh sort of became known. So from 700 BC to in the 2nd century BC, you've got this sort of Set worship going on in the Levant, outside of Egypt. So it matches up really well with the idea that this thing is here to destroy the gods, right?
Dude, Set hated Upper Egypt. He hated Upper Egypt. So,
right. Yeah, and when you think about maybe there was sort of a collegiate atmosphere going on between the Greeks, the Egyptians, the Romans. And we find that again in the Golden Ass. They sort of preserve the cults going on in Egypt into the Roman period. So you've got the cult of Isis still existing into the 2nd century AD in Rome, right, into the Roman era. So they were very much syncretized. Syncretism was their religion. So they had all of these different priest class going all around the region, learning about these different gods. And then you've got other people who don't like these gods, and they're a very small group, but they're able to outsource or outsize their influence by manipulating theology, right? By manipulating theological domination. So if you can use theology to dominate other people, you don't need to be better than them at battle. If you can use theology to dominate other people, you don't have to be smarter than them. You can just say you have to believe this stuff. So from a perspective of, overarching theology, using theology to dominate other people is far superior than using an army. Because if you can get them worshiping the same deity, you don't have to raise a sword. You can wait until after you take over to do that. But again, Typhus, this winged giant said to be so huge that his head brushed the stars. He was man-shaped from the waist up, 2 coiled serpents in the place of legs. He had 100 serpent heads for fingers, a filthy matted beard, pointed ears, and eyes flashing with fire.
Yo, dude. Oh, man, I have to be more ready, but
You can find this. You can find this all over the Book of Psalms, right? That's what they say about Yahweh: his eyes flashing with fire and his beard. All the rest of, other than the serpents, right? They took that out. But on each hand, the 100 heads proper was a human. On the other 99, bestial, of boars, bulls, serpents, lions, and leopards, right? So if you think about the 4 heads of the what do you call it? The angel of the Lord has all of those things except a lion instead of a leopard. As a volcano demon, Typhus hurled red-hot rocks at heaven, and fire boiled forth from his mouth. So Tartaros and Gaia.
Dude, this is Surtur from the Norse mythology, the fire giant. Yeah, dude. Hold on. Keep talking. Give me a second. I'm gonna pull this guy.
All right. So he and this, let me see, his wife, this queen of the giants or the monsters, was the originator of all of the monsters we see in the more famous Greek myths. So Celia and Charybdis, right, were part of the offspring of Typhon and his Echnida. Echnida and Typhon gave birth to all of the monsters that we see in the Homeric hymns. So the Sphinx, that's another monster that came from them, the Chimera, right? Cerberus, also, these are all the monsters that came from that union of Typhon and Echnida. And let me see. It's funny, I have the Theogony, and on the cover of the Theogony is this guy, right? So they didn't give you a picture of Zeus. They didn't give you a picture of Hera. They didn't give you a picture of any of these other gods. They gave you a picture of the Greek devil on the front of the Theogony, which is the exact opposite of what you should be doing. Like, imagine buying a Bible and on the front cover is Satan. Like, who does that? But they're so sort of out of touch with the perspective back then that they don't know the difference and they don't really care. So, and it's funny too, a lot of the names of the gods, which are more potent in Greek than they are in English, because we just think night when we say night. We don't think Nyx, which is the goddess of the night. But the Greek word for the night would be Nyx, right? So you've got that sort of divine angle that we don't put into our language when it comes to our words for night and day and all the rest of this stuff. So in the translation, All they're using is the English word for night. And it's like, well, these things burst forth from the night, but you're not thinking of it like a goddess. So it's funny how different the translations and how we see the world as being so different. The Queen of the Night is said to be a potent form of magical power and wisdom. But when all you're doing is saying the word night in English, that doesn't really carry over.
Yeah, it's NYX, right?
Yes.
I don't understand. There's somebody I know that started podcasting, took that name, and their whole podcast is to shit on pagans.
Well, okay,
so it makes no sense to me.
Wait,
Yep.
what? Which podcast?
It's something with Nick's. But no, I find this a lot. It's like it sounds mysterious and wonderful, and so they're attracted to it, and then they use that sort of platform to shit on the people who came up with the concept.
So Surtur is the black one, is a fire giant, a son of Muspelheim, and yeah, dude, he's gonna come out on Ragnarok spewing fire from his mouth. So kind of like this guy, right? Like it's a lot, but you know, Odin will ride out of of Valhalla.
The optic
with
nerve.
thousands of warriors behind him.
But
fight.
isn't it funny how we're sort of like, when it comes to the giants, we're stuck on the eyeball, right?
Yeah.
So the Cyclops, eyeball, Argus, eyeball, right? So we find over and over again that there's something having to do with vision that comes from the giants. It's something primal. It's something, again, if you think about it from the sense of where they came from, right? So the blood of the sky is what gives us these giants. And also it's where we get the idea of Aphrodite. And Aphrodite has to do with, in later, Neoplatonic thought, Aphrodite is the fire in the eye, right? So there's this linkage between the optic nerve and this optical sense of the world and a primal magical nature that I think is lost in any sort of understanding when it comes to English. But at the same time, it's there in primitive forms when we examine those words and where it comes from. The way I see it is that the eye is external brain tissue. It's external brain. It's completely hooked in to how we see the world and how we operate. The eyes are essential for that. And when we were going over computer vision with what was his name? Oh, I forgot his name. But he was talking about it, how you can't do learning without vision. The vision and visual cortex is fundamental and primary to intelligence. So all of the stuff that we think of as being intelligent, it springs from the eye, right? So this is how we project ourselves out, is by taking in accurate information through that external brain matter that's sticking out of our face.
Right. And Vince said Yahweh is El. Yahweh is a son of El.
Right.
Vince, he's not. Yeah, he's son of El, brother of Baal. His uncle's Dagon.
Yo, what's up the Veritas Road?
Who is Dagon? Who is Enki, dude? Is people, if you pay attention to these to these archetypes, you can see these underlying themes throughout all these mythologies. It's fascinating.
Right. Well, I think this is a good episode. There's a lot more giants to go over, and I think it's an interesting thing, because right now they've just gotten done doing studies on the Kaikion, and they know the formula, right? It was the Kaikion.
The
right?
Kaikion? What's it called? Why is it called that?
The Kaikion is the drink that they would drink in the Eleusinian Mysteries, right? This is the stuff they found that it has ergot in it. It was ergot, ashes, and water.
Yo, let's drink some Kaikion, dude.
Right? And the Greeks were giving this out for 2,000 years. The
Ergot,
Kaikion,
ashes, and water. Well, that's like drinking some water with some ashes in it and eating some fungus. Okay.
right?
Okay.
but this is where a lot of the Eleusinian mysteries came from.
I know. I'm wrong. I know. I'm wrong. Sorry. I'm wrong. I know.
You just studied this stuff, right? That's
yeah,
all
no, I just haven't been studying this for getting close.
But once you get into the Canaanite pantheon,
once you get into the Canaanite pantheon, the deities you find in the Levant, you can trace them throughout these southern pantheons, right? And the stories and the symbolism lines up with a lot of the European gods, but the dark shit, a lot of the dark shit originates down in the desert regions with these desert gods, so I'm sorry if you think I'm wrong, Vince, but I do study pantheons, and Yahweh is a son of El. Regardless of what the Bible tells you, the Old Testament literally mentions over 100 different deities.
Right.
The Jews still venerate a polytheistic like they still venerate a pantheon. They do, and they talk about it, and they say it's okay if they do it because they're chosen.
Well, it comes to this. The Canaanite origins of the Hebrew religion is like Germanic to English, right? So the Germanic influenced English just in the same way that the Canaanite influenced Hebrew. It's just a further derivation of it. So once you understand that, then you can kind of understand these things a little bit better. But if you don't, there's no reason why it would change from Elohim in the early part of Genesis to Yahweh in the later part of Genesis. Like, why did that happen? Oh, he just gave him a new name. Well, these names and epithets really do mean something, and it goes back to an earlier origin.
Well, right? I thought that Yahweh could be multiple deities, like a certain class of these, people could call them angels, people could call them, because there's Yahweh is a lesser, he's a lesser deity, dude. Like, regardless of what you want to think, go read the Ugaritic text, go read the Ball cycle. Like, you'll barely find them anywhere, by the way. It's kind of weird, but it's the same thing with, never mind. We're not.
But you will find the Ball cycle all over the book of Psalms, right? So they copied it line for line in a lot of ways. So you could say, hey, the book of Psalms came before the Ball cycle. But if you think that, then you've got a lot more explaining to do, because one influenced the other instead of the other direction.
Oh, yeah, this ancient text. Wait a minute. No, this was written. I mean, the Bible was written, hundreds of years after it apparently happened, right? Or
800 years after the Ball cycle, that's when you get the Bible. So you have to understand that it's only going one direction. It's not going back in time to influence them.
By the way, I have to bring up to you, the wheel chose for us today Delphic Maxims. Are you available next Saturday?
Ooh, I'd love to do the Delphic Maxims. Yes.
Yeah. You've talked to me about them, and I Subliminal was like, "What's that?" I was like, I can't do it justice, man. We got to get Headless on here. There you
147 Delphic Maxims will blow your mind just how good they are.
Well, didn't you tell me that these are like all of the like the moral codes that it says to live by in the Bible, all these things, that how we should treat each other and how to live, and
with very strategic omissions, right? Very strategic omissions in the Bible. Like the 5th Delphic Maxim is be overcome by justice, right? So the first 4 sound exactly like the 10 Commandments, but the 10 Commandments don't include be overcome by justice.
Right.
Right. That was strategically taken out. We still use Themis, right? This goddess, as our symbol of the Lady Justice, holding the scales with the sword and having the blindfold. That's still our symbol of justice. But guess what? That comes from the Greeks. That's not part of Christianity. So we have be overcome by justice in our justice system as almost like a appendix or some, primordial version. But that stuff is not present in the 10 Commandments, because vengeance is mine, thus saith the Lord. So it's not your problem what happens on earth, whereas Themis is a very different perspective on that.
Well, once people understand that the Old Testament is just a lot of ancient texts compiled together and Judaized, then you will understand, kind of what we're talking about, how it was all written later on, and all these other texts predate it indefinitely by hundreds of years. So
and we could even get into the word hell, where hell comes from.
Dude, don't get me started. Don't get me started with Helheim and the goddess Hel, who is, daughter of Odin. And, long before.
And we've still got a lot of hell fear today. Like
Woden is the progenitor of the Anglo-Saxon kings, the first kings of that continent. All come from this guy named Woden,
Right.
And it's like,
and the first thing they bring up when you bring up inconvenient Bible passages is how it's out of context. And yet we're living our entire lives out of context to these original myths that give us these words.
Right. Exactly. Ignore that. No, ignore that. Only live by this context. If it's out of this context, these other hundreds or even thousands of texts, no, this is the only one,
Right.
And trust us. Even though you see,
it's theological domination. It's a very different form than what we think. People don't say theological domination, but that's what cults do, right?
Yuri Bezmenov he talked about it, dude. Even if you put the evidence in front of some of these people's faces, they will not accept the truth.
Right. It's more powerful than an army.
Yeah.
Right. And once people realize that, then they'll start to see the bigger picture. And I think we're on that path. I think that's sort of what conspiracy culture is really leading to, is really starting to understand exactly what the theological domination in our society is. You could say money is a form of theological domination.
The real conspiracy culture. Let's get it right, dude. And we will be on the front lines with the rest of our brethren, fighting the battle against the actual,
we're going into another
going on. I mean, dude, there's so much shit right now. The satanic panic is in full effect. I know we're ending the episode. This was a great episode, by the way, dude. And I'd love, we could always do a part 2, talk about some of these other giants.
There's lots more to get into.
Headless, the similarities between the Vanir and the Rustic Gods is dude. I was reading Edic Mythologies today, and we were reading about Vanaheim, man, and it's uncanny. I think I really wish y'all would have been there, but I know you're probably busy. But no, we could definitely talk about it. We should do an episode on it sometime, maybe.
Absolutely. Well, this is a great episode. And again, you got to get to know the giants from all of these different perspectives, because if these were the gods of the Greeks, all the giants were the gods of the Greeks, then they wouldn't have anything bad to say about them. Right.
Right.
So,
right.
What's up with that? So the giants are considered to be malevolent forces, kind of like giant toddlers in the, Greek perception. That's not exactly worship. Like, nobody's worshiping these giant toddlers that are considered to be, barbaric, Thracians, which are, not considered to be civilized people like the Greeks were. So there's a very different thing. You have to look at it as archaic versus modern, because that's the way they were putting their kind of mythology as sort of an archaic thing versus a modern thing. So they looked at it very different from the way we look at, the connections there too as well. But, it's an interesting thing, and there's no theological domination here. Bring your ideas. We will talk about them,
Yeah, man, for sure. And guys, this is, I think, episode 11. Yeah. Of Rustic Gods. We have 10 other episodes. You can go check them out on our YouTube channels. I don't know if Nick has them in a playlist. I have a Rustic Gods playlist. You can check them all out. I'm real OCD with my channel. I keep it all organized. I have like all my guest podcasts, my Elohim etymologies, my Rustic Gods, my my Already Dead when I was doing production for Already Dead. All those episodes. But yeah, no, this was a fun one, man. And I was thinking I may stream a movie tonight, like a late night stream. I don't know. Depends on how many people show up. I can't stream it to YouTube. So all you people on YouTube, we watched Excalibur. Was that last week? Yeah. It's great. Fucking great, dude. The best version of, like, the best esoteric interpretation of, excuse me, fuck, that myth, or that whole, King Arthur mythos that you're gonna get. And so,
Right.
Yeah, dude, Merlin fucks hard.
Well, the spirits are restless, and when the spirits are restless, things will change very quickly. So what we're seeing now is a
Spirits
shift.
are reawakening, dude.
Right. It's a shift.
And they're pissed.
They are.
Channel that, guys.
Right. There's deeper parts of ourselves that are connected to these deeper parts of mythology. And so we gotta really start to understand ourselves so we can understand that as well.
Don't let your enemy tell you about your history and who you are.
You wouldn't trust a leftist. Why are we trusting the people who act like leftists wherever they go? You can't let them destroy your past.
Everybody has bad shit that happens in the past. People want to bring up the bad shit that happened outside of Christendom and all this stuff. It's like, yeah, but like bad stuff's happened in Christendom. Like, yeah, we condemn that and we learn how to not repeat the past, right? Doesn't seem like that's going on all around the board, right? Yeah.
Certainly not in Washington.
Like some people are trying to literally repeat the past. You got talk of gypsy pagans right now, and Alex Jones is talking about, the pagan druids, and you're like, what the fuck do the druids have to do with the Kabbalists, dude? This is the Epstein files. There's no druids in the Epstein files. What does he talk about? Oak trees one time? Like, fuck you, dude. Sorry, I snapped out on Strange Brew last night on Candace Owens and called her something about her eyes. Anyway, I need to learn how to control my temper. So,
well, this has been good. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think the Giants are doing with the optic nerve?
I don't know. I do wonder if there's something up, like you were saying, that there's such a focus always on the eye with the Cyclops. I do wonder about that, and the size difference. I mean, sometimes I just wonder, is that like, you guys know me. I don't take all this stuff literal, so sometimes I wonder, is it just symbolism? And is there a reason why they are giants are called tall? Closer to the clouds or to the sky? I don't know. I just do wonder. It's something all in. It's an all weird symbolism. But like you're saying, I've wondered about the eye with the giants.
Yeah.
Right.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
I know. I keep forgetting.
God.
Happy Lupercalia.
That was awful. I have a rose for y'all.
Oh, we should have done Lupercalia tonight. Oh, that's such an interesting ritual.
Oh, dude, I've seen so many people spurging out about it on Twitter, like Valentine's Day is satanic, and I'm like, dude, cue the Merciful Fate, dog. Like,
That's like Halloween.
Dude, look, man.
Nuns have no fun.
You know what I mean, dude.
I blocked Merciful Fate and King Diamond.
That may have damaged me psychologically because I was so young when I listened to it. I was so young. I was in like the 70s.
Guys get the upside down cross on his forehead.
I was going to a private school at the time because my dad was married to this chick and her parents were paying for it. Well, the mother of my little brother, I guess. And her parents were paying for it. But I was like, we're getting a ride home with this guy who was bumping like 40 ounces to freedom on the radio and let me bum like Marlboro Lights. Like, shout out Jared. Thanks, Jared. Let me bum Marlboro Lights from him. And he would just like drop me at my house. And but I would put in my headphones sometime and put on like Morbid Angel, Merciful Fate, Obituary, like all these fucking bands.
Yes,
I was a big fan of like Mayhem and a big fan of black metal, surprisingly.
Yeah. Did you listen to Venom?
Dude, I may start my own black metal band. I like do the drums, the guitar, and the vocals by myself, kind of like Burzum. But I'm not going to eat.
Okay.
I'm not going to shoot and eat my or I guess not shoot, but eat my guitarist. Was that a psyop? Do y'all think?
I
Is
don't
that like, did he
know.
get like framed for that, or did he
I'm
really do
lost.
that?
I haven't even heard of these bands.
You know that Varg guy that's in prison up in
Right.
Norway, Varg
Yeah.
Verkenes or whatever, the lead singer of Mayhem.
Yeah,
Well,
I've heard of that.
He apparently chased the guitarist of his band, this guy named Euronymous. Before this, their bass player, whose name was literally dead. You could see him in some Candlemass music videos. He was actually just like a drug addict, like Sid Vicious type of guy, like literally that archetype, like bass player on heroin. Like he blew his own brains out, and they used that for the cover of their second or third album. It's fucked, and so Euronymous, the guitar player, this Varg dude chases him down, kills him, stabs him to death. I don't know how many times, and eats him.
Wow.
Yeah, but. And I mean, I haven't looked into it enough to see like, was this some kind of MK Ultra thing, like, or was this guy a legit, but I don't know. Like, I think because I don't know, man. I've seen, I don't know. You never know what to believe, especially because it was so long ago when I looked into it, and he may be out of prison by now, but I've seen interviews with him, and he's a fucking completely normal guy. And I don't know if he admitted to it. Maybe he did, but it'd be something cool to do an episode on, maybe. So maybe I'll do that. Guys, got more Greypilled episodes coming. I know I've been slacking lately. Got some people coming on. Magus in the Media, our boy Brandon, the new Occult Reject.
Yeah.
There was no initiation. We're not gay.
We don't do that.
Not yet.
But he's coming on next week, and then Aeon Bite got him coming on.
That's so funny. You booked him for the 5th. I booked him for the 6th.
Yeah, I know. We talked about that. I got
I tried to schedule it at a time for him too. Like, well, fuck.
Greyhorn Pagan's coming on, trying to get Zaralath on as well. Trying to get some new guests on for the new year. So yeah, man. Guys, do y'all want to plug anything, or do y'all want me to go? I got
the trialogue tomorrow. We're definitely going to get into more of the geology, and we get really big numbers. So it's been a real party. Right. So last time we were like up at 150. I was surprised, and we love to talk about geology. We love to talk about these mysteries of geology. I think that goes, heavy into this giant angle as well. Is all of these mysteries of geology are really associated with these giant spirits and really ancient things. So
absolutely,
check it out, guys.
Hell yeah, nice.
Nick, any shows tomorrow?
No. Let me see. Monday, I got some guy coming on. I think Chaos Magic.
I'm not off work Monday, unfortunately, for President's Day. So my son's out of school, so my family's out of town. So guys, I'll probably do a stream tomorrow, but y'all go to Occult Research Institute.
Okay.
Go over there, check everybody out. YouTube.com. Listen to me. Occult Rejects on Rumble and YouTube. Occult Friends on X. Headless _Giant on X. Headless Giant on YouTube. You need to create a Rumble, dude. I'll help you. And
I'm on Rumble.
You are?
Yeah,
you are. We talked about this. Y'all go follow Headless's Rumble.
Nice.
And let's see. Follow me on Twitter or X, whatever, at Greypilled Pod, Greypilled _podcast on Instagram, Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I'm 50 people away from getting 1,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Oh, let's go.
Then I can get Super Chat. So we're almost.
Now wait till you see how much they take off those super chats. You're like, wow.
You can go unsubscribe after I get over 1,000 or whatever. I don't care. But go check out. Well, you can't check out Morningwood. I already made it private to Patreon only. Go over to patreon.com/greypilledpodcast if you want to support the show. It's the best way to support. Go check out the show last night. You can check it on Rumble. Tomcat took it off of YouTube. We talked about Hollywood Underground and stuff. The episode before that is Pizzagate. No, Tom has invited me on Strange Brew, and I'm, yeah, man, there's some shit going on. So let's fucking go do it. Y'all go subscribe to Tomcat's channel, Strange Brew. He's doing a lot with Greypilled right now. We have a show I think that we're going to start doing once every couple weeks. And so see where that goes. Elohim etymologies are coming back, baby. Adrian has baby. We love him. It's a beautiful baby. And yeah, they're coming back with a new, kind of, I don't know what to call it. It's coming back with just a new, different rhetoric, still explaining the stories and the mythologies, but not so much. We understand them more now. I understand them more now, and kind of get what Adrian was talking about. He would say things sometimes that just blew my fucking mind, and now I get it. You grow and you learn. But yeah, besides that, I don't know. May stream something else this weekend. I don't know, guys. Oh yeah, Nick, if you don't mind, I'm gonna share my merch. You guys go over if you want some merch. I have merch. I'm going to put some Occult Reject stuff on there. I need someone to order something so I can actually see if the payment process works. I think someone from out the country tried to, and I can't do that right now. I'm not paying to do that right now, not unless people start actually buying the merch. But I got a lot of shirts on here, some Elohim etymology stuff, Gods of the Morning Wood. This shirt's pretty fucking cool. Yeah. This is a cool hoodie. This is a pretty fucking cool hoodie. It's great. And what we got here? These random shirts I've been putting on here. The original background. I don't use it anymore to my show, but probably looks good on a shirt. What's this? Oh, there's a tablet on the back of here. It's Inky, and Ningazita, and Ninhursag. They're creating humans and hybrids and all sorts. And the water is flowing through Inky. As you see the waters from below the Abzu going through, he's alchemically transmuting them. There's a lot of interpretations. But anyway, and then there's an Elohim etymology hoodie on there. However, if you want to go over to Shopify, myshopify.com, I have a couple mugs. I got a whole different merch over there. Gods of the Morning Wood stickers and a shirt. I got an Occult Reject sticker made, making an Occult Reject shirt of my own, if Nick doesn't mind. This hoodie right here, I'm about to order because I think it's great. I love the colors. And shout out Doc for making that front. He made that for his thumbnail. I was like, dude, send me that logo. Yeah. We got a Babylon mug on there as well. So yeah, guys, if you want to support the show, that's another good way to do it. But this was fun tonight, man. And did I share that at all?
What's up?
Did I just share that with you guys?
Yeah, we saw the site.
Okay, yeah. I was just making sure I did. I wasn't looking. I came back and it was already down.
Yeah,
you took it down. So sorry.
Yeah,
making sure, because I've came back sometimes. People be like, "You didn't pull it up." Oh, fuck me. Anyway, guys, this was fun tonight, and until the next Rustic Gods, we will see y'all later, guys. We had to figure out something to say at the end of the show, but y'all have a good one. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Happy Lupercalia.
Happy Lupercalia. Good night.